Hello and welcome to the MPGP podcast.
Murders per gallon of popcorn. I'm Haley.
I'm Craig.
Yay!
Dude, I still think we need to do some fucking merch because I don't know if y'all know this, but Craig designs every single cover. And Craig is also an artist, as we have mentioned in other podcasts. And I think that Craig needs to use his skills that kills and make some fucking merch for MPGP.
I feel like I could rework one of the covers into a cool t-shirt.
Ooh, a fun thing could be, we could ask, like, on Instagram or something, follow us on Instagram at mpgp_podcast. We could ask on Instagram, like, which cover, or, like, which, like, what they want to be, like, a t-shirt, basically. We could, like, post all the covers and be like, which one?
I personally think that the Jason Takes Manhattan cover is pretty sick.
That would be an amazing
But I would
shirt.
want to rework it. I would honestly just redraw it and make it more graphic
Yeah.
to be like a t-shirt. And I would probably just do a full body shot of Jason standing with like Tim's on.
Yeah, that would be
and like
funny.
a full like all black outfit. And he's got the Yankees fitted cap.
Dude, we should do that, and it could be like that, and then it could say MPGP, made in New York.
Maybe.
Craig goes, no.
MPGP repeating down the sleeves like a
that would be
four-sided
cool.
death metal t-shirt.
Yeah, maybe we'll just make like one and sell it for like $300.
Yeah, I'll draw it with a Sharpie. What was the best thing we ate in Philly?
Okay. Well, we went to Charlie Was a Sinner.
Wait, MPGP themed thing that I just thought about. Where did we get coffee in Philly?
Ooh,
What
well,
was the name of the coffee shop?
we went to this little coffee shop called Reanimator. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the film
Reanimator.
based on an H.P. Lovecraft story. Really good fucking coffee though. Like, seriously, probably like the first cup of coffee I've had in a while where I'm like, this is like good coffee.
Yeah, I really like their coffee a lot. I kind of wish we bought some of the beans.
Yeah, we probably should have. We got instant coffee, which we haven't tried yet, but we shall. I never have had, like, fancy instant coffee. I've only had, like, I don't know, just shitty.
The cool thing about, like, Philly is you go to the nice coffee shops in Philly, and there's, like, punks hanging out there. You go to nice coffee shops in New York, and it's, like, young fashionistas and, like, yuppies.
Fashionistas.
And they have, like, tiny sunglasses on that are, like,
Oh,
all
yeah.
black.
You gotta,
That's like who goes to coffee shops in New York.
if you're a fashionista, you gotta have a pair of tiny sunglasses, and that's fucking law. The vibes are so immaculate in Philly. We love it there. What did we eat? We ate Goldie, which is famous for their tahini milkshakes that I'm craving super hard right now.
I like the falafel.
The falafel's good, but I'm, like, weird, and basically there's, like, a week where, like, all I had was falafel, so since that week, I can't do it really anymore.
Meanwhile, to me, that sounds like a luxury.
Dude, it was just, like,
A
I was
week of
working
falafel?
on set, and it was just, like, of course, like, I'm vegan, and the only thing that sometimes, like, restaurants will be like, yeah, our vegan option is falafel, but it's, like, not good falafel. It's just, like, dry, like, bad. So, I know that it was, like, a 5-day shoot, I'm pretty sure, first of all, our friends were visiting. Nathan and Veronica, shout out. And we went and got Queen, which is like really good falafel here in Bushwick. And that was great. But then, then it was literally just like, for lunch, it was just like shitty falafel. The next day, we were supposed to have something else, but then they like canceled the order. So then we just ordered the same place as the day before, and it was shitty falafel. And then they did it like one more time. And then Nathan and Veronica got me dinner. And I got back from the shoot after eating shitty falafel, and the dinner was falafel. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm falafeled out for the year of 2020 and potentially 2021.
So, just in case Nathan and Veronica are out there listening, you guys are the reason why my girlfriend hates when
it's
I
not
suggest
y'all.
falafel.
It's not y'all.
You gave her too much falafel.
It wasn't their fault. It was
So
Work's
now
fault.
every time I'm like, I want falafel, I get shot down immediately.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, but this is the thing. Like, I usually get, like, other shit, but I don't know. Like, I just can't do it right now. I'm just falafeled out. And I don't know.
For me, I can get... There's no amount of falafel that's, too much. Like,
that's good. I need to get over it.
I'll eat it 3 times a day, 7 days a week, baby.
Would you?
Yeah. For
Dude.
me, the thing about falafel is, like, falafel always tastes fresh to me.
Not always. You can get some really bad falafel.
But what I'm saying is, it's like, I don't eat a lot of salad. So there's usually, like, a good amount of greens. It's like a healthy sandwich.
Falafel
And
has all of the food.
And the protein is just more vegetables.
Yeah.
But fried.
Yeah, I mean, falafel is good.
Also,
I'm not saying that falafel is bad. I'm just saying I can't really do it anymore for now.
Before I was vegan, I've been vegetarian most of my life. Before I was vegan, I was vegetarian starting at the age of, I think, like 12 or something. Basically, my older brother became vegetarian, like, around his senior year of high school and, like, when he was going to college. And I always was, like, a picky eater and weird about eating meat to begin with, so I wanted to become vegetarian, too. So I became vegetarian very young based off of my older brother's, like, inspiration. Like, by him doing it, he inspired me to. And, so from the age of, like, 12 on, I've been vegetarian. There was, like, a year that I ate meat, and then I was vegan. And I've been vegan since I was in high school. So I've been eating vegan food for a while. And one of the first ever, like, vegan meals I ever had was a falafel burger from this place in Charlotte called The Penguin that Todd and Katie took me to.
And you were like, wow, this falafel stuff is good.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever had falafel.
Oh, we got the Tasty, which was good.
The Tasty is so good.
I got a breakfast hoagie. Craig got a breakfast burrito that was fucking good. And we went to this place called Charlie Was a Sinner, which is like bougie vegan food. That was pretty good. And then very bougie. But it was a fun experience. And then the next day we went to Blackbird and got
a
Philly cheesesteak. And that was yummy. And then we went thrift shopping. Got a bunch of cool shit. Like, Craig got some baby heads. And a Bart doll. And I got I got Air Force Ones that are technically, like, on paper 2 sizes too big, but they're fine. I got them for like $24, so I can't complain too much. And then I got like a really nice silk shirt. We're now on Saw 5. Well, we watched Saw 5.
We didn't finish it.
We didn't finish it?
So we...
No, we did we finished it the next day, I thought.
That was Saw 4.
Oh, fuck. God.
So Saw 4... You
we
missed
didn't
part of
finish
Saw
it.
3. Then we watched part of Saw 4, fell asleep, then finished it.
Mm-hmm. And then started Saw 5, and I guess didn't finish it. But Saw 5, it really starts to get like, okay.
Yeah, there was a pretty big quality dip, I would say, from Saw 4 to Saw 5.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, please help me with his name, Darren Lynn Bousman.
One sec.
The director of 2, 3, and 4, and Spiral. His name's
Darren Lynn Bousman.
Darren Lynn Bousman. He's not James Wan, but he's still pretty good, and I think we've said that before. I really like Spiral. The more I think about it, I like it.
Yeah.
But he's like kind of defined what Saw was, and after he stopped doing the movies and you get into Saw 5, you kind of notice that it's like a dip in quality.
Yeah.
Though it's not bad.
Director.
It's not bad. It's fun. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're just starting to get ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. Oh, what was so confusing, okay, it was directed by David Hackle, which, he was the production designer for Saw 2, Saw 4, Saw 3. But, what was weird about Saw 5 was it sort of was like, the timeline was really confusing because it was like, so at the end of Saw 4, we realized that one of the cops was like behind everything the whole time. And then Saw 5 basically just explores that more. And like,
So,
I feel like the timeline is like really all over the place.
What was confusing though is that he wasn't behind everything. He was just behind some stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was an apprentice, kind of.
Just like Amanda, but
but also he was designing his own traps and was like a rival to Jigsaw. Like they were two villains doing the exact same things, and he was like using Jigsaw's formula. Like he was on a Jigsaw case or something.
Yeah.
Saw what Jigsaw was up to and kind of like got to know him through like the audio recordings. And then he became a believer and like wanted to do it himself because he knew he could get away with it.
Well, what happened was the like inciting incident was that his wife got killed by the guy who's who was what's that called, a pendulum? Pendulum?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so gross, dude. Like, one of the first...
But he did his own version of it, too, on someone else.
Did he?
Yeah, the cop did a pendulum.
No, that was the guy. That's why it's confusing, because...
He killed his wife.
Yeah, that was...
Jigsaw's
this
wife.
This was literally, like, he did that. Like, that was, like, one... I think that was his, like, first Jigsaw kill. And then I think, like, the actual Jigsaw, like, knew or whatever and took him under his wing, and he's like, you're making games that are not winnable. I don't fucking know. It was really confusing, and honestly, like, I ate a little bit too much of an edible, so that also did not help. And I was just like focusing on like breathing too much. I was just like it's like fucking freaking out. So,
meanwhile, there's a Saw trap where it's like, what was a trap from part 5 that we saw?
There was oh my god, was it the fucking one where the FBI agent gets trapped and there's water that fills up,
And then he
in the
stabs
thing,
his...
and then he stabs his throat to breathe through.
Yeah, but that's not a bad one, because
That
he
grossed me
survived
out.
that.
I know he survived it, but that's still, like,
There was
fucking
something
gross.
brutal we saw, though.
The pendulum was really brutal. And then, this one, there was, for Saw 5, there was, like, a group of people that were trapped, and they basically had to do, like, team building exercises, but they failed every single one, so each one, like, someone died.
Oh, and they stuck their hand into the
Oh my
table
god,
saw.
that was
They had to
so
slide their
bad.
hand through a table saw, and it shredded their
Ugh.
hand, and then they, like, made it out. They had to fill up
But
these
they ended
vials.
up dying.
Yeah, well, their arm was fucking flopping around because they sawed
That
up
was
to their elbow.
so bad. But basically, like, the thing was that it had to fill up, I think it was like 10 pints of blood, which is, like, obviously, like, one person that would, like, kill them. 2 people, you might survive, but the idea was supposed to be that everyone was supposed to make it. If they worked together, then it wouldn't be that bad at the end. But because they fucking failed super fucking hardcore, they ended up dying. So, so that was Saw 5.
Saw 5 is
Yeah.
fucking crazy. I
We're-
can't wait to watch the last
I know, dude.
Saw movies
We're-
and see what happens.
We are fucking obsessed with Saw right now. But let's go ahead and segue from the Saw franchise back to our fave, Jason, Friday the 13th. We're going to motherfucking space, y'all. It's Jason X. Boo, 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 boo.
Well, we should talk about the production of the movie.
Yeah.
And how it was almost like, what was it, 8 or 9 years
Yeah.
since Jason Goes to Hell to Jason X, where, like, all these, like, Jason scripts are just being written and they're in limbo.
Yeah, there was
while
like
they're waiting for Freddy versus Jason script
to be figured out.
Perfect, so they can make a bunch of money on Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
Like, the whole series was just, like, waiting on Freddy versus Jason to happen for, like, a solid 15 years of, like, the Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah. And this one ended up being shot in 1999, but it was distributed in 2001, and basically what happened was they shot the whole fucking thing. They, made it, and then, the, like, president of New Line at the time, or, like, some bigwig at New Line, I'm not sure if it was the president or whatever, but basically he, like, left New Line, his name, Mike DeLuca. He was, like, the big wig that was, like, into Jason X and was like, yeah, let's get this shit made, whatever. But then while Jason X was being filmed, he left New Line, and then they got back from filming in Canada, and basically no one cared. Like, so the project was just in limbo for, like, a while.
That's awkward as fuck.
It sucks, too. I mean, like, God, I just, like, speaking as someone who's, like, an editor, like, if I worked on a project for that long, and then it was just, like, I didn't know if it would ever be released. Like, I guess that's just, like, the way that it goes with, like, films. I'm not in the film industry, but, like, I would be, like, really upset.
Around the time that the movie was in limbo, waiting to be released, that someone, I guess, at the production house or something, someone involved, leaked the movie onto, like, torrenting sites and, like, all these peer-to-peer, like, sharing sites, like Napster or some type thing, like
just bootlegged
the movie. Like,
Yeah.
a copy of the movie got out and it was being, like, traded online like crazy. And he was saying that he was, like, he seemed, like, upset that the movie performed so poorly and he was trying to rationalize reasons why it was
Yeah.
performing poorly, and he was like saying
Definitely the bootleg
the
version.
the bootleg
was
version going around and like the movie being done for like
Yeah.
years before being released,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like 2 years before it ever came out. It was
Mhm.
like completely done. Am I crazy? I
Yeah,
thought he
they
said
did.
they finished shooting
Yeah,
in 1999.
yeah.
And it came out in 2001.
And it was mentioned that any reshoots that did happened during production. So, yeah, it should have wrapped in
So
99.
if it leaked pretty early, I would say that would like really take some momentum out of the release of the movie, because like all the super fans probably just
they
watch it
definitely
online.
had it. Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess like looking back on it, it's sad that the movie did so poorly, because like you can tell everyone involved really like was passionate about what they were doing.
Yeah.
I feel like, and
Yeah.
they wanted to make a good movie. They wanted to like please the fans of the franchise, and they didn't want to like, they weren't setting out to make a bad movie. Like that, it wasn't like they didn't care, you know. And it's not that the movie's bad. It's just like it performed poorly, and it's like they were aware of how silly it was to make the 10th Friday the 13th movie, and for it to be set in space.
Yeah.
They like were self-aware enough to know that was a silly concept, but I think they thought the audience could get on the same page as them and like be in on the joke and just embrace its silliness, and they weren't quite there yet.
Yeah.
Like people were just like, this is dumb. And they kind of missed the point that that's the point. It's a dumb 10th movie, just enjoy it.
Yeah, because like, okay, the Friday the 13th franchise is like, they mentioned this in the commentary, like it's a franchise that constantly takes risks and turns it takes a story like where, you know, it doesn't like really fucking matter. And basically they were like Jason X was a sort of like it could have been Jason in the... They literally were like, we were talking about Jason in the Hood. We were talking about Jason, but it's like wintertime. We were talking about Jason, like, doing this and that and this. And then they're like, let's just take him to space. Like, Critters went to space. Fucking, like, Hellraiser went to space. Leprechaun went to space. They're like, let's fucking just do it. And it's also, like, they set it 450 years into the future as well, and they were basically like, okay, well, like, anything anything could have happened between the earliest Jason X is set in is 2010, and the last movie was set in the 90s. This was set, so if that was 93, then this was set 2010. I can't do simple math.
But they were filming this in 1999. So
I know.
You have to also remember that it hadn't yet been the new millennium.
No,
and they like around that time, people were still unsure about like, you know, we're going into a new millennium. What's that going to be like? Like 10 years into that future seemed like a long time, I feel like.
Yeah.
And even though the scene that you're set in the opening scene of this movie, it's 2010, and it's like well within the realm of possibility. It still looks futuristic.
Yeah.
And like, it's like Crystal Lake doesn't look like this. Crystal Lake doesn't look sleek and like giant expanse warehouse. Like Crystal Lake is in the woods with cabins.
Exactly. They literally have a Crystal Lake research facility.
Yeah, like no, that's not Crystal Lake. Like this is obviously the future.
Yeah.
Even though it's 2010, it's not even that far into the future. It's 20 years.
Yeah. And my original like point in bringing up like that it was in 2010 is that they basically were like okay, so like I know he went to hell. We're not gonna fucking explore how he got out of hell because I feel like Freddy vs. Jason is gonna go over that, probably. So let's just, like, flash forward in time. Jason is not in hell. He's being held in a research facility. And then we're gonna even further the time period to, like, even further just be like, whatever Freddy vs. Jason is, like, we're not gonna, like, fucking make any decisions there. We're just gonna be like, okay, it's set here and we can just do whatever the fuck we want, basically.
I like, get him on that, honestly. Like, I get it. But he could have at least made Kane's, like, Jason look the same as the Jason Goes to Hell Jason. Like,
yeah.
When Jason gets dragged to hell at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, he's got the mask that's, like, sinking into his skin and, like, bloody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a good look. Like, that's scary as fuck.
Yeah.
It looks cool. They could have at least used that design. I mean, it's the same person playing Jason. Like, come on. Like, try to get it to look similar to that. But instead, they go with the worst Jason look in the franchise,
It's basically, like, Kane Hodder and maybe, like, gray face paint. Like,
and just to be clear, we're talking about Jason as he is for the majority of the movie, which is, like, still human Jason, not Uber Jason.
Yes.
We're not talking about Uber Jason. We're talking about Jason with the hockey mask. And, okay, first off, the hockey mask is, like, much more angular.
Yeah.
It looks like sharp features as opposed to, like, the more rounded, like, smooth kind of hockey mask shape that we're used to. So they already kind of, like, modernized that look along with the 2010 setting that he's being frozen in. And yeah, he's got weird, like, patchy hair. It looks like his hair's curly.
Yeah. It literally looks, it's not
like
great.
pube hair.
It's not great. I like, and you could, like,
pube hair.
like, especially since we, like, know, like, we've seen a bunch of shit with Kane Hodder, like, know what he looks like. I literally was like, 7, it looks like him. Like, it looks like Kane.
Oh, yeah. It does. It looks like Kane. Like, it looks like Kane
without
prosthetics.
You can recognize the actor. You can literally recognize the actor. Whereas, like, yeah, in fucking 7, like, there's so many, like...
In 7, his mask breaks off, and he looks like the mummy.
Yeah.
Like, the Brendan Fraser mummy, like... that mummy.
Yeah. But I do want to talk about that opening scene that was set in 2010. Basically, Jason's being held in a fucking research facility called Crystal Lake Research Facility, which is just like, why would this podunk town fucking have a high security research facility that only houses Jason, it seems like.
It's okay. If you've seen the 2018 Halloween movie, you know there's that iconic scene. I mean, I guess it's iconic. It came out in 2018. It's a good shot of Michael Myers, like, handcuffed and chained to, like, this post on the ground, basically. Mm-hmm. He's, like, standing out in this yard at this, like, holding facility, this, like, prison asylum, and it's just like him in a field kind of chained there, and that's what this looks like.
Yeah,
it's like a giant field, and Jason is like a warehouse, empty warehouse, like football field size warehouse with just Jason in it in the middle, and it's like ridiculous.
It's so extra. And then, like,
it doesn't even look secure. It just looks like a big room. It doesn't look like it. Like, if he broke out of the middle of it, they could just have him in a cage or something.
Or, like, okay. We're gonna get to this, but basically, he ends up being cryogenically frozen. Why didn't they just do that from the fucking get as soon as they restrained him enough? Like, they could have, like, done whatever the fuck they needed to do by just, like, poking in the fucking, like, freezer or whatever. Okay, but...
No, I think... Didn't they want to kill him? Like, she was like, I want to kill him.
So, he's being held, and I guess it's 2010 and they're talking about what they're gonna like do with Jason. The main scientist is this woman named Rowan, and Rowan is on team let's kill fucking Jason.
Yeah.
Because she's like, dude, like literally he has killed hundreds of people at this point, and he will just keep killing if we keep him around. Let's just fucking...
At this point, Jason is like a Godzilla type figure. He's like a monster. He's like a movie monster. Not just a human who's killed a bunch of people, but like he's like a cryptid. He's like a phenomenon, like the Sasquatch. He's just like this weird, unexplained anomaly in the universe that won't die, and he keeps killing people. So it's like a cancer. Like he's like just literally this movie monster that they're like, we have to figure out how to kill Jason. Just kill him.
But then something interesting, and I was thinking about this while we were watching it, it kind of has this tie with like Jurassic Park almost, where David Cronenberg is in this movie, fun fact, and he plays a doctor that wants to study Jason, and like he's like, this guy like can regenerate tissue and all of this fucking shit, like this is like we need to like research him, we can't just like kill him or whatever, which is very much like, I feel like the main doctor in Jurassic Park, where it's like we were able to like fucking make this like crazy thing happen where there's now dinosaurs, and then like later on in the film, when Jason's frozen body is recovered, the main scientist on board 400 years. First of all, they know who Jason Voorhees is. Some random fucking guy is like, oh yeah, that's Jason Voorhees. 400 years ago, he killed a bunch of people. And it's like, how would you know that? That's what I'm saying.
He's like a urban legend, like mythical being, Sasquatch, like demon, like Pazuzu. Like what?
But the scientist is like, oh, I can make like a lot of money. He's like, how am I going to monetize the fact that I just found these 400-year-old beings? And he tries to be like, oh yeah, I found this like woman and she's alive and perfectly preserved. And then the guy's like, well, that's kind of like old news or whatever. Like, a lot of people like get brought back from like being frozen.
That whole scene is so weird.
It's so weird.
They're talking to this guy who like,
he seems
what do you think
like
his
he's
role
paralyzed. I think he's like the president or something of the fucking space station. I'm so confused, but anyways, the like scientist
why call
is,
him? Like,
I think he's just like trying to be like, oh yeah, like look what I found. Like, I don't know, but anyways, the scientist is the Jurassic Park sort of like secondary villain, where it's like, oh, he wants to exploit the big bad for money, when they know the right thing to do is just to like kill them, basically. So going back, David Cronenberg is literally like, we're gonna go, like, I don't fucking know, grab Jason to do some fucking research on him, and they uncover the body. The fucking, like, guard covered Jason with a blanket, because he was like, you're creeping me out, and then they uncover the blanket, and they see that the guard was killed off screen, and Jason, like, replaced him. No idea how Jason got out of his restraints, but are we shocked? Like, no explanation. And then Jason fucking bodies every single person and throws a chain, fucking like...
He slings a chain like he's fucking Scorpion or something.
Literally!
Get over here!
Oh my god, it was a total Scorpion kill. And that was a pretty sick David Cronenberg death scene.
Also, a funny note about David Cronenberg that we learned from the commentary was that, so the director of the movie came to David Cronenberg and was like asking about using David Cronenberg's special effects team.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it was
the
writer.
Yeah, I think the writer came up to him because Jim Isaac, the director, actually
was on David Cronenberg's special effects team.
Yeah.
So they wanted to have like the Cronenberg pedigree of like having his like good special effects team, I guess, or something. But instead, David Cronenberg was like, okay, yeah, sure, like, fine, but I'm gonna be in the movie too.
And they're like, okay.
Like, David Cronenberg didn't care, because he's probably like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. Right? Like,
yeah, like, I'm sure he was just like...
you're gonna pay them, right? Like, I don't understand what the hang-up is.
Yeah. Dude, that's like fucking... I feel like it's, like, cool because I'm sure he fucking, like, watched these movies and was, like, is, like, a fucking Friday the 13th
he probably thought it would be funny.
And he's like, oh, fuck yeah, I get to be in this fucking movie, the 10th installment of Friday the 13th. It's like...
These movies were so popular and, like, such a part of, like, popular culture and the zeitgeist of American culture for the 80s that it's like, yeah, I bet all walks of life saw and knew about Jason and like Friday the 13th for like a good run in the 80s. So to be in like the 10th one is funny.
Jason escapes and he stumbles upon Rowan, who was our team Let's Kill Jason doctor. And basically there's like a chase scene. She traps him in a cryogenic freezer thing and he starts the freezing process and she's like, fuck yeah. And she, for some reason, decides to like lean against the thing to like look at him being frozen, and Jason cuts through the freezer with a machete, stabs her in the stomach.
It's like, why is this machete in there?
Yeah. Makes him... How did it... Also, like, I'm very surprised that this, like, futuristic 2010 fucking technology, like, allowed for, like, his dusty-ass machete to be able to chop through the fucking, like, shit. It doesn't make sense. But anyways...
I do not remember 2010 being, futuristic enough to where cryogenic freeze chambers existed in New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't know if we got there yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like they projected 10 years into the future being so futuristic. I'm like, that's 10 years, guys. Just because you're jumping millennia doesn't mean that like anything is going to be different. Like
I do know there's like cryogenic shit for like sports recovery. But it's literally just, like, it's basically, like, sitting in some kind of, like, tank that sprays you with cold shit. Which is...
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that it exists. Like, Walt Disney is frozen. And
wait, is he actually?
Yeah.
I thought that was just a rumor.
No, totally Walt Disney.
What?
Yes, you can be frozen.
Dude.
You can be cryogenically frozen.
Did they freeze him when he was still, like, alive?
Let me get a fact check on this.
Because I always thought that was just, like, one of those things that you just, like, that's, like, when you're in elementary school and you're like, I learned this fun fact.
Oh my god, it's actually not true.
Wow. We just fucking busted that myth. It's officially not true.
Whoa, is that...
But it also might be true, but the public is just saying it's
I'm almost positive you can have your body frozen.
But, like, okay.
That is something you can request.
Let's talk about this because, so basically what ends up happening is the hole from the machete ends up freezing both Jason and Rowan. And then 400 years in the future, a scientist and his students stumble upon both of them and bring them aboard the ship. And they successfully, through the use of nanobot technology, bring Rowan back. Well, they, like, heal her wound, So I think she was frozen. Like, she didn't die from her wound. She was frozen before she could, like, pass away, basically.
Which is so ridiculous.
So, like, they didn't technically bring Rowan back from the dead because she didn't ever die.
They did
she was
heal
just
her
they
with the
healed
ants.
her. But, like, what I'm saying is, like, if Walt Disney fucking, or if anyone just, like, died and then was frozen post-mortem, then I don't think there's ever gonna really be technology to, like, solidly bring, like, someone back to life like that.
But that's the thing, you never know, dude.
Yeah, I guess, but I
You
feel
don't
like,
know?
well, honestly, they probably do that shit, but us plebeians will never fucking know. Like, Elon Musk has probably, like, died 50 times and, like, keeps getting brought back.
I feel like it would be completely possible at some point in the future to, like, have some way to reanimate dead tissue.
Yeah.
Even if they just, like, unfroze him and then just took his DNA and, like, made a clone of him or something.
Dude. Like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly, like Jurassic Park, like the freaking mosquito bug in the amber, like...
Dude, we should... Okay. Don't steal this idea. We're officially patenting it. Okay? I guess this is kind of Reanimator. Okay, picture this. Reanimator, Jurassic Park, hybrid, but with, like, dead celebrities. So, like, Walt Disney, like anyone else from the past that could have been frozen. Like, you could be like, Hitler was actually cryogenically frozen or whatever. And just, like, bring back all of these, like, random, like, kind of evil people and clone them. Like, an evil scientist or, like, just a scientist that's really into, like, figuring out if you can bring people back to life. Brings all these people back to life, and then it's, like, they just, like, wreak havoc in the world. Like, these clones. You could have, like, 20 Hitler clones.
Yo, you literally sound like this commentary I just heard.
I had written a script, which was a fantasy script, about three brothers who at night became their girlfriends because they had been cursed. They were dragged who were in a sauna, and they would fart, and that was what would make the sauna hot because the bubbles would come up, and it was a hot sauna. And so I sent that script to Dean.
Like, that... Okay. The fucking screenwriter for Jason X sent that script to a producer or someone that had fucking some kind of ties to the Friday the 13th franchise. And he sent the script that literally makes no fucking sense. Like, his, like, pitch line makes no sense. And the guy, like, called him and he was like, so I threw out your script, but you seem to have a good imagination. Like, would you like to write the next Friday the 13th? So I'm just hoping that this pitch gets me to be able to fucking write the next Friday the 13th. But honestly, I think my script idea sounds good. I don't know.
That's sick.
So,
I'll book you to make the next Jason movie.
thank you. I mean, I don't know, Sean. At Sean. It is year
2455.
2455. Rowan and Jason are discovered by a group of, like, young student scientists and, like, a main scientist and an android.
What the hell is that? Humanoid. Organic composition is unclear.
Can someone tell me what's on his face?
Some kind of 20th century carbon filtration unit?
It's a hockey mask. Very good, Centeron.
What's a hockey mask? Facial armor. Used in a sport outlawed in 2024.
So, let's just sort of talk a little bit about the events on the ship, basically. So, Rowan gets saved. They agree that they're just gonna keep Jason frozen, not bring him back to life, but the scientist is like, I kind of want to bring him back to life to make money. But, like, he doesn't really, like, act on that. Jason just thaws out somehow, naturally.
Well, he can't die. He wasn't ever
Yeah,
dead.
he wasn't dead. Like, it wasn't, like, it makes sense that if he was unfrozen, he would be alive because he never died. And obviously, we all fucking know it's basically impossible to kill Jason. So, he did not die. He was just hindered for 400 years. So, he's being studied by this woman, like, scientist, and she is just, like, whatever, running some tests, pulling out some eyeballs, just, like, just looking at his nasty face.
Literally
and saying,
pulls out his eyeball and cryogenically freezes it in, like, a vat in the corner, in, like, a sink, for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
why does she rip his eyeball out?
I don't know. She's just,
But
like,
his
doing
eyes
all
are
these,
back
like,
later.
Yeah. That was, like, a weird... I think that was just, like...
Removes the hockey mask and is like, ooh, baby, what happened? Or something like, what
Yeah,
did she
she's
say?
like, ooh, you poor thing. No wonder you wore this thing. I'm like...
You're
I'm like-
peeling off Jason's decrepit hockey mask
Yeah.
from his, like, sweaty corpse. And that's what you say?
And he looked gross, too, under that.
You poor thing.
Poor thing. Well, basically, two of the fucking space teens having sex wakes Jason up. The sound of the girl's orgasm, Jason his Jason senses were tingling, and it is enough to completely bring him back to life. And
He got a waft of coitus stench.
of premarital sex, and
That dude opened up a space rubber. And,
Oh my
and
God.
the smell filled the room.
oh my god. So Jason gets up and fucking does the... Okay, this was, like, me and Craig's, like, favorite kill, probably. He takes the woman... First of all, he's, like, fucking manhandling the shit out of her. He throws her against the wall.
He
He's
just
like-
woke up, too. Like he doesn't have to
he's-
stretch his legs or
Yeah,
anything.
he's, like, completely...
After being frozen solid.
He's back in the New York groove, baby. But he fucking takes this woman, dunks her head in the cryo tank, and we see
Pulls it up,
we see
frozen.
it freeze, like, her screaming, and then it's, like, cool sound effects where it's like, "Ah," and then, like, her face freezing. Then he takes her fucking body, slams her head on the fucking table. It shatters everywhere. She has a bleeding stump where her head used to be. And he just fucking throws her down and moves along.
Yeah, Kane Hodder's performance as Jason just keeps getting more and more brutal. I feel like the way he, like, acts as Jason is so aggressive and, like, angry. It's like a angry killing. Like, it's not just like Jason is just, like, a machine that's just killing. It's like he's still pissed off. Like, throwing her fucking corpse away. Like, he's disgusted by it or something. Like, it's like...
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's
anger
aggressive.
in there.
It's aggressive
Yeah.
seeming. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
it's like...
he plays a very angry Jason.
Yes.
Whereas some of the other people who've played Jason are more like the killing machine type. Like,
yeah.
I feel like part 6 with CJ Graham, he's more of like a... Just kind of move like a tank and just like kill people.
Yeah,
like
with
robotic.
a dump truck ass.
Yeah, robotic like dump truck.
So Jason, his next thing on the to-do list is to find the horny space teens, and
Who are wearing like Groove is in the Heart era.
Yeah, literally all the outfits are fucking impeccable.
They look like 80s freestyle
Grooves
go-go
in my
dance.
heart.
What is that band?
I don't even know, but y'all all know. The thrill. How can I dance with
They look like they're the Jetsons.
Yeah.
It's like retro futuristic, like 70s outfits in space. Like they look like the crop tops and like bell bottom style is all over this movie for some reason.
Yeah, I really love the costumes, and honestly, like, every single thing that all of the girls were wearing, I would totally wear that outfit. I feel like...
I mean, it's definitely back in vogue.
That is what fashionistas wear today, I believe. So, he finds the horny teens, and he kills, the guy that's, like, fucking the girl, basically. And then, basically, like, there's a bunch of people on this ship. There's, like, pretty much, like, an army. There's the engineer. There are the two pilots.
The pilots are crazy.
They're the two pilots.
The pilots are like cowboys.
Yeah. What's the funny thing that one of the pilots said? I don't remember.
I don't know, but they're just like, they act like they're like high on fucking speed or something.
Yeah.
Like, they're like crazed truck drivers, like giggling and shit. It reminds me kind of that first scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where the two college kids are like hooting and a hollering in Texas, like calling into the radio station, driving all over the road.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's like all of the students, and then the scientist who's like the teacher or whatever, and they're all from a place called like Solaris, which is like a space station commune thing. Oh, Earth, by the way, like when they landed on Earth, we see like the environment of Earth. It's definitely been like fucking nuked or some shit, because it's like a wasteland. They find fucking two people 400 years old in the basement of Crystal Lake Research Facility. Wait, okay.
First off, there's Earth 2. What's up with Earth 2?
Wait. There's Earth 2?
Yeah, they keep referring to it as Earth 2.
So, at the end, when Jason landed in a lake, was he landing in Earth 2?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay. I just was about to be like, wait, that doesn't really make sense if in Earth...
So here's the Earth 2 wiki from Friday13th.fandom.com. Earth 2 was the name of a planet in an unnamed solar system colonized by humans after Earth was declared uninhabitable from some kind of an apocalyptic ecological disaster. When humans colonized it is unknown, but it was no doubt the new home of humanity. It was the location of New Harvard University, and where a group of students came from when they traveled to Old Earth on a field trip.
New Harvard. Dude, why? Okay.
Why did they establish that?
Why would they name it Earth 2?
Well,
I don't remember that
New Harvard University has an entire wiki, Friday 13th wiki page.
Bro, let's get the New Harvard University merch immediately. That's fucking sick.
Wow. But, anyways, there is an Earth 2 that is talked about a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But I can't remember in what context they're...
Well,
I don't think they're trying to go there, are they?
Well, they were trying to land in the fucking space station, which it ended up
they plowed
through it and destroyed it completely, killing probably hundreds of thousands of people in the process because Jason killed the fucking pilots. It literally looked like a small city. Like, it looked like the size of New York, I would say.
Really?
Yes, dude. It was big.
To me, it looked like it was still, contained. Yeah. It was like a floating... it was about the size of the spacecraft. So that made me think it was, like, just a big plot of land, kind of. Like a... Yeah. Like a big house, like a commune.
I would say that at least... I would say maybe tens of thousands of people live there?
I would say maybe like 2,000. No, maybe even just 1,000.
I don't know.
It seems, because I'm imagining how many people you could probably fit on
Yeah.
the spaceship that they're on, and there weren't that many people
Yeah, you're right. Maybe, I don't
living
know,
on that spaceship.
but I definitely think that Jason killed at the very least, 1,000 people.
Probably, yeah.
By killing the
Assumed.
pilots and plowing into this space station. But before that happens, there is basically one, like, the screenwriter for this blatantly says that he was ripping off Alien and Aliens. And he was basically like, I mean, fucking James Cameron has a fuck ton of money, so I don't really think he has that
Right.
much of a problem.
He literally says in the commentary, he's like, well, James Cameron did all that Avatar shit, so...
He probably doesn't give a fuck.
He's like, he did that Avatar stuff, so he's rich. He doesn't
He doesn't need
care
to.
about me.
Oh God,
I
I,
was like,
hope that we
dude-
don't like put like.
Put him on blast.
Yeah, James Cameron suddenly like files a fucking lawsuit against Jason X and no one can watch it anymore.
No, it's not that much of a
Yeah,
ripoff.
it's not.
Basically, what the concept is, which Alien, I've always thought is just a slasher movie set in space. So Alien is just like Halloween or, you know, Texas Chainsaw. It's like there's one killer and you got to run from it and hide from it and get away alive. But it's in space. So it's like, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
It's just like Jason is the alien killer. It's like Jason is
Yeah.
the threat in the spaceship. They're running around the spaceship. There's like different tactics involved because it's in space and on a spaceship. Like, let's close off this gate and then explode it and push him into space, or zero gravity stuff, or like
or the fucking
laser guns and
the simulator, which we'll get to later.
oh yeah,
but-
there's a virtual reality helmet room.
Yeah. But there's a very alien-esque sequence where the, like, army of the ship, which is, like, maybe, like, 5 or 6 people, try to light Jason up, basically, just, like, fucking annihilate him. And obviously that doesn't work because Jason's impossible to kill. So he basically picks them off like one by one, which I would say is very much like Alien. And there's a lot of like bringing them into like corridors, stalking them from behind. Like,
He's sneaky, Jason.
he's very sneaky, which is like not typically. I would say that
I would say
Jason.
I would say in the past, Jason has been very sneaky and like moving in the shadows. I can think of like
But like not like to this extent where he's like
true.
it seems like he's in like 5 places at once, which is like very much like an alien thing because the alien can like climb
the
and
walls
crawl
and
and
shit.
slither. But Jason is just a giant zombie. Like,
True.
but he fucking bodies all of those guards. But you were saying that he is sneaky in that he does pop up and shit. Like,
Yeah, in other movies in the past, I can remember him like grabbing characters and pulling them off to the side and
Yeah.
like snapping their neck. Like, there's that scene in part 6, I believe, where he like kills the boyfriend or something like by the window where the girl is like looking out.
yeah.
And that's a very sneaky kill.
Oh,
for-
that was 3D. The boyfriend's eye popping out while she's like
Oh, yeah,
looking
yeah.
and screaming.
So he definitely is like, when I picture Jason, I do imagine like a very aggressive, like brutal killer, but he is kind of like light on his feet, I guess, and like
Yeah.
sneaks around and shit and
Yeah.
like sets traps and
Yeah, and he
is like has tactics and like
Yeah.
he's like covert. He's like a hunter because he like cuts the power and like
does all
he
that.
doesn't go through the front door and just like
Yeah.
He like sneaks around and is always like lurking.
Yeah. This is true.
Which is, I feel like people don't give him enough credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But I guess...
Give Jason his due, y'all.
Well, I feel like most people think of Jason just as like a tank.
Yeah.
Like a zombie, like, brutal freak.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
But he's an artist. Like, the way he displays those bodies.
He displays the bodies like they're art installations.
He doesn't do that in this movie. Well, I would say the next notable kill to talk about is the Corkscrew Kill, where he throws a soldier onto this corkscrew like type spinny thingy and he gets impaled through it and the body spins slowly and goes to the bottom and one of the soldiers discovers him and goes like the main fucking soldier who is definitely notable, let's call him Sergeant Brodsky's like status report on the guy that ends up getting corkscrewed was like the sniper or whatever. And he's like, status report, and the fucking other soldier just goes, he's screwed. I was like, God damn it.
He's screwed.
But Sergeant Brodsky is very badass. Honestly, like one of the more badass characters in the 13th franchise, but not as badass as Crichton Duke. But I will say that Sergeant Brodsky gets to do more badass shit than Crichton Duke, and also goes out like a fucking badass.
Yeah, Crichton Duke is kind of like a smooth talker.
Yeah. I would love to, like, those two need to sit down for a fucking cheeky bev, for sure.
A beer.
Yeah. Basically, though, Jason picks off the soldiers one by one and gets to fucking Sergeant Brodsky, stabs him through the back into the rib cage, and Sergeant Brodsky goes, it's gonna take a lot more than a fucking poke in the ribs to get me. And then he stabs him again in his other ribs and he goes, yep, that ought to do it. And we think that he, like, dies that way. But he comes back later.
Can we talk about the, like, ship's captain who was completely useless and, like, also delusional?
Yeah.
About the whole thing?
Well, the scientist guy?
The guy who's trying to make a profit
off
of
the main
unfreezing
scientist.
These two.
Yes.
And how, like, when stuff starts to go to shit, he's like, oh, he, like, panics, and then Jason is about to kill him, and he's like, oh, here's your machete, now everything's okay, right? And he's happy now, he's not gonna kill us! And then he gets killed.
He gets decapitated. Professor Brandon Lowe is technically, I would say, the secondary killer you root for his kind of death, because... But
and what about that scene where he has that freaky sex?
Oh my god, yes. Dude, okay. He has sex with one of the students, and she has this clamp. At first I thought
forceps.
Okay, so
she has a pair of forceps.
Yeah, she goes up to him and she goes, how about that, let's talk about my grade or whatever. And I thought that she had, like, shit to, like, for him to, like, open her up like a fucking gynecologist. And I was like, holy fuck, like... But also what ended up actually those were used for was like
to pinch his little nipples.
She was pinching and twisting his nipples.
Nibbles. It's nibblers.
It's nimbles.
So when she pulls these forceps out and is like going at his nipple, I swear there's a scene where it looks like they're really digging into his side. Like she's like
I thought
fucking, like,
impaling.
Killing him, like, penetrating his nipple with these forceps.
And he just screams.
He's wearing, like, women's lingerie, too, and he's like, hit me, or something.
Harder!
Yeah, he's like,
yeah, you like harder.
You're a good girl.
And then he goes, "You get an A!"
It's so crazy.
It's fucking bizarre. So this guy is weird.
A freak.
Anyways, he fucking dies. And then his head gets revealed later when Jason kills the engineer who ends up at the captain's quarters trying to like fucking land the ship or some shit.
That's when the ship wrecks. So
Yeah.
the ship wrecks into that small commune in
Well,
the sky.
that was before. This is like later on in the movie.
No, but when like he kills the
pilots, but
that's when it crashes, right?
yeah, this is correct. But the engineer goes back to the pilot's quarters to do something, maybe send a distress signal or something. He's trying to take control of the ship because he's the engineer. This is like later on in the movie. There's body parts all over the fucking cockpit. And
yeah, like weird, nasty.
yeah, it's
shit.
gross. And the Jason just shows up, holds the professor's head, and the guy like laughs because he thinks that it's the professor, I guess, and then he realizes that it's Jason, and then he gets killed. But yeah, so we know from that Jason just wanted his little old machete to decapitate the professor.
Yeah.
The rest of the teens, sort of, it's Rowan, it is Janessa, who is kind of like this snarky gal. Like, I liked Janessa. There's KM14, who's the robot. There's...
Who is like a dominatrix.
Yeah. Well, she turns into a dominatrix
nipples,
later.
and
Oh,
he's
yeah,
trying to
there's like a
paste her
fucking...
little
Okay.
pasties on.
So, Suneron is like the nerdy dude that created KM.
He's the Donatello of the group.
They have like a fucking like relationship, but he tries to like put nipples on her, but she's a robot, so I guess they fall off. And she just like is insecure because she'll never be as a real enough woman for him or whatever.
And he's like, "It's okay, baby. I like you just the way you are, without your nipples."
So, and then there's like the girl whose boyfriend died like in like the first 2 deaths on the ship. I don't even fucking remember her name. That character pissed me the fuck off, which we'll get to later. But basically, it's all of them and Rowan, and they're like, okay, the first plan is to get in an escape pod, and the fucking dumb bitch whose boyfriend died basically freaks the fuck out when the engineer gets killed and locks herself in the escape pod and doesn't let the rest of the crew in, and she's just like, I'm just gonna fucking leave y'all, basically. But she doesn't know anything about anything, and basically starts to leave with the fuel hoses still attached to the escape pod, and the escape pod blows up. So that was their only chance of escaping via that. And she completely fucked it up for everyone. And I'm just like, why? And they kept being like, please let us in. It's okay. He's literally not here. And she just goes, no.
And then she's just like, I'm going to send it. And then just like floors it. But she doesn't realize she's connected to the main ship still. So there's like this tail that's fucking chaining her to the ship. And she just floors her spaceship into the side of the main ship, with this tail connecting them.
So
a tether,
dumb.
And explodes the cockpit of the ship.
So, dumbass bitch award goes to that character. So, I think the next course of action is that we get Dominatrix KM, who has like... She has like a million
every
guns.
Yeah.
She's literally in, like, this, like, literal dominatrix outfit, like, with a collar and everything.
Like high heels or some shit.
And she just fucking obliterates Jason, blows his head off, shoots him a billion times, like, cuts off his arms and legs pretty much, like...
She gets stabbed in the gut by his machete, and, like, at first you think she's, like, hurt by it, and then she comes back.
Psych! Yeah, it was, like... That was a cool scene, and it was really satisfying to watch Jason die in that way.
This is like an action movie.
Yeah, it's fucking... Y'all, actually, Jason X is really good and very much highly recommend. But, basically, Jason gets, like, blown to smithereens and lands on this, like, kind of, like, slab thing. And I didn't realize this, but the slab was, that's, like, where the nanobots rebuild tissue and stuff. Oh, also, by the way, our boy Sergeant Brodsky was healed, so he's, like, good as new again. And the next plan after killing Jason is to call for help because the ship is running out. Hitting the Solaris thing, like, fucked them up, and basically they're gonna, like, explode in, like, 30 minutes or some shit like that. So the ship, or, like, part of the ship is just gonna, like, die. So they're like, okay, we need to call for help. So they call for help. He's like, we can get there in 45 minutes. Then they realize this thing about the ship. Then they're like, okay, but we can actually just blow up this part of the ship and separate from that problem part of the ship, and that will buy us time to where we can safely get rescued. While they're focusing in on that plan, Jason gets rebuilt with nanobot technology and turns into...
Which we've already seen be used on, like, 3 other characters at this point.
Yeah. He is turned into what is known as Uber Jason. So he has this chrome mask. Let's pull up a picture of
The
it.
mask kind of looks like an X on his face. Like it's kind of stretching across his face.
Fun fact about Uber Jason. Same effects guy that made the Robocop.
Yeah, the same designer who designed Robocop's design.
His name is
Stefan
Dupois.
Which is cool because you can obviously tell it looks like the Robocop, kind of.
Yeah. His mask is very, like... He has red eyes.
Yeah, Kane is wearing red contact lenses.
He's, like, He's, like, sort of, like, some of his flesh that survived is encased in sort of, like, machinery. And then the nanobots built the missing parts of him with, like, synthetic tissues. So it kind of looks like he was, like, 3D printed, basically, on half of his body, on his arm and leg. And then his, like, you know, his mask is kind of like, it looks like just, it's chrome and not...
Futuristic.
It's futuristic. And then he obviously has, like, this very exposed brain. And basically everyone... He pops up and everyone's like, oh, fuck. He was fucking rebuilt. And they're like, okay, KM, can you, like, kill him? And she's like, I can try. And she tries shooting him. He's indestructible. Officially indestructible. She gets decapitated by him, but she obviously is a robot, so she survives, like, Prometheus style, I would say, with when Michael Fassbender gets decapitated by the fucking, like, guy, and you just have, like, the fucking guy, what's his name? Sooneron fucking carries her head around the rest of the movie. So basically the rest of the movie is just, like, them trying different ways to, like, get rid of Jason. So one of the teens gets trapped in the chamber with him and basically enacts the blow up this part of the ship plan while he like blows that up. You think that Jason and him die. Jason's like out in space. Like, you think that that problem is solved. Suddenly, Jason's fucking machete, stabs through the ship and creates a hole that creates a vacuum. And the, there's
one of
like
the girl characters gets sucked through the hole and dies.
Yeah, there's like a grate that gets sucked there.
But
so
they
when
make
she
it
gets,
out.
yeah, when she gets sucked through, she's like, "This sucks on so many levels," was her last words. I'm like, you gotta give it to her. It's funny till death. And she gets like shredded through these like fucking grates. Then they escape. Then the next fucking issue is that the door won't open. The fucking rescuer is attached to the ship at this point, and the ship is about to blow up again. So basically they're like trying to fucking like the fucking sergeant goes out to fix the part of the ship that would open the door. Rowan and Sunaron are like trying to figure out how to distract Jason, and Sunaron puts him through the virtual reality like simulator thing, and he brings Jason to Camp Crystal Lake, where we get like such a fucking fan service scene in the best way.
It's like sepia tone too.
Yeah, so Jason is in Crystal Lake, and there's two teen girls, and they're basically just like, we love I can't wait to fucking have premarital sex and get drunk. We love premarital sex. And they're like smoking weed and drinking and shit, and they take off their shirts.
Yeah, they flash some nudity.
Yeah, and then they get into their sleeping bags, and then we get the fucking like iconic sleeping bag kill from the 7th movie, but doubled down. He basically uses one girl to slap the other girl, and then he throws her against the tree.
Referencing part 7.
Yeah, so that was fun, but eventually Jason figures out that this was all a ruse, but the fucking Rowan, Sunaron, and KM's head managed to escape, and then Sergeant Brodsky and Jason face off just as the ship like explodes. So they're watching that, they're safe. Then they see Jason in space debris flying towards them, but Sergeant Brodsky comes again and fucking grabs Jason, and they fight. And then Jason and Sergeant Brodsky are falling through Earth 2's...
Like a comet.
Yeah. They're falling through Earth 2's atmosphere, and that's how Sergeant Brodsky dies. They burn up. But we see, like, the comet, Jason Comet, land in a lake at a camp in Earth 2, and two teens notice, and they're like, "Oh, what's that? Let's go check it out." And then that's Jason.
Jason's mask falls into the lake and into the bottom of the lake, setting it up for like potential a sequel again.
Yeah. That never will happen ever. Oh, and then the OG.
You finally hear the OG theme in this one.
Yeah.
But it's also weird because, like, I was always under the impression that mask was no longer really a mask, but just part of his, like...
Robot.
Robo cyborg body.
Yeah.
Like, that was just because the metal is the same as the metal that like builds out his arm and stuff. So it's weird to imagine what his face looks like if you take that mask off.
That's true. But also, like, you do see that it is protecting, like, the fleshy... He has, like, exposed brain and...
I don't know if that's his brain or if it's just burnt skin. But I'd have to look
But, like,
at the
it is,
picture.
like, his... It's
He's
a
got
mask
face.
on flesh. There's some... It's mostly robot, like, synthetic material, but there is some flesh encased still, you know?
I guess I just am saying, like, it seems like that's bonded with his body.
Yeah. It definitely is, but falling through the atmosphere of Earth 2 probably disintegrated, I mean, in theory, disintegrated all of the organic material.
Yeah, it just left him as just a steamy mask.
Yeah, but we'll never fucking know if, you know, Jason just terrorizes Earth 2 and the cycle just starts over again, or if it's
Someone needs to make a sequel to Jason Goes to Hell and a sequel to Jason X and even a sequel to Jason Takes Manhattan where they deliver on what the movie sounds like it's going to be like. Like, Jason Takes Manhattan, someone should make a sequel where Jason's just actually in Manhattan from start to finish of the movie. And Jason Goes to Hell, it should be Jason in hell fighting demons and shit. Or some, like, Doom-looking shit.
That would be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that would be sick.
Fucking sick. Maybe The Rock could be in it.
Oh my god, yes! Let's make it happen.
And Jason X, I feel like it should be Uber Jason the whole time.
Yeah. I was surprised. I thought that it was gonna be... For some reason, I feel like someone described the plot to me, like, forever ago, but they definitely didn't know what the plot was, because I thought that it was gonna be, like, they took cells from Jason or whatever, like, from Jason's body.
You really
and
want
just,
this
like,
to be Jurassic Park?
No, but I literally thought that that was the thing. And then, like, I saw it, I was like, oh, it's just, like, literally Jason on the ship for most of the movie, and then he just so happens to be turned into...
It's like that movie Encino Man. But
I've never seen that.
It's, I think that's what it's called. It's about these, like... It's like a stoner kind of movie about these, like, high school kids who find, like, a Sasquatch or, like, not a Sasquatch, a prehistoric man, like a ape man. What do you call it? Neanderthal?
A Neanderthal.
A Neanderthal found frozen in ice, and they thaw him and, like, hang out with him.
That's fucking funny.
And that's, like, what this...
Yeah, but instead of hanging out, Jason just kills people. But I guess Rowan hangs out, so, you know.
That's how the movie's called.
Encino Man?
Yeah, 1992 American comedy.
Oh my god, I totally remember.
Where the Stone Age meets the Rock Age.
Holy shit, that's funny.
I'll show you a picture.
Why did I feel like I've heard the title Encino Man, but I always thought for some reason it was like a gangster movie.
Oh, Brendan Fraser's in this too. I didn't realize.
Nice. Is he the Neanderthal?
Look, his shirt has cows on it.
I want that.
No, he's not the Neanderthal.
He's just
I
like
don't think.
a guy.
Wait,
No,
maybe
he is. They just style him. Oh my god, that's fucking funny.
I haven't seen it. Last time I
Dude.
watched this was with Derek.
Brendan Fraser was in so many fucking good movies.
This
in
used to
that
come on
time.
TV all the time.
I would always watch, like, my Brendan Fraser movie growing up was George of the Jungle. I was like, that was like the Brendan Fraser movie I watched all the fucking time. We definitely owned it on fucking VHS.
I don't know if I've seen that. I
It's
seem
so
to remember when
dumb.
it came out though.
It's
Maybe.
so dumb.
What year did that come out?
I don't know. Let's see. George
I don't know, it's
of the
1997.
Jungle.
Yeah, this movie is bonkers.
97. Watch out for that tree. Nice.
His face. He's got a
He's-
funny face.
He's kind of daddy. Look at him now, though. Sorry, Brendan Fraser. He's just old. Like, it's not his fault.
He got a little bloated.
Oh, wasn't Manson that? Interesting.
Anyways,
fuck. Okay, Jason X, we're talking about that movie now.
One thing that I really appreciate about Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, and to a lesser extent Jason Takes Manhattan, is that all of these movies seem like one-offs and like what if type stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if Jason went to Manhattan? And it's just a very comic book type thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, growing up and like reading comics and going to comic stores, I always remember seeing crazy crossovers. Like, when I was younger, there was a crossover with like Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Whoa.
But it was like the modern day iterations of those franchises in comic book form. So it was like the rebooted TMNT crossed with like Transformers, and this was like the era that the Shia LaBeouf, Michael Bay Transformers were coming out. So it was like a contemporary crossover, and like DC and Marvel have crossed over a million times. Like, different movie franchises have crossed over, like Terminator and Robocop. And I feel like movies, like, especially nowadays when it's like there's such a financial investment and there's so high stakes because there's so much money involved, that you kind of can't have like a flop.
Mm-hmm.
So they only do like the most foolproof concepts that are like lab tested to be good at the box office.
Yeah.
So you don't get a lot of these like odd, like one-off random ideas that get made into a full movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jason going into space is like an idea that you would like pitch, and it's like that would never get made.
Yeah.
But back then you could get a movie like that made, which is so cool. And like comics, that's always been a thing. I guess it's just easier to like collaborate between studios and like who gets the money, the revenue. It's like a whole process where everyone wants to collaborate and like share characters. Like the Spider-Man being allowed to be back into the like Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That was like a whole
the most
fucking
recent
thing.
one, but it was like this big drama. I'm like, it's just a fucking character.
And
like,
even then, it's like, you know, like Spider-Verse isn't on Disney Plus.
Yeah, exactly.
And shit like that, just like little things like that. There was, speaking of just like creating these different things, I want to go back to when we talked about like Jason there was a lot of different ideas to kind of like, again, buy time for Freddy versus Jason to be sort of finalized and perfected, because that was like the big goal of the next film, but they also wanted to make another Jason movie. So there a few ideas were Jason in the Hood, and there was like Jason in Wintertime. And you mentioned while we were watching that the director from Friday the 13th, Jason Lives,
Friday the 13th,
Tom
Part
McLaughlin.
6, Tom McLaughlin.
Talked about, I'll let you
So, our favorite movie in the franchise, maybe, at least mine, is Jason Lives Part 6, and that's directed by Tom McLaughlin. It's the only Friday the 13th movie he's done to date. But we recently watched an interview that the YouTuber Christian Hannah Horror conducted, interviewing Tom McLaughlin, and they talked about this like script he wrote, and he like had it crowdfunded or something to like have it made into a short film for a sequel to Jason Lives, where Jason is in the snow in the wintertime at Camp Crystal Lake. And the way he talked about it sounded really fucking sick.
Yeah.
But it would just be a short, like, one-off, low-budget film. So maybe they could pitch that to a studio or something. But I don't know. It seems like it wouldn't be in the canon.
Yeah. I don't think
necessarily.
that's... Yeah.
He'd have to get the rights to it and stuff, right?
And I definitely feel like Friday the 13th, I feel like, especially since all of these big horror movies are being rebooted, like, I can see it sort of going down the road of, like, maybe the reboot would be, like, prioritized over, like, let's make a fucking, like, Jason in the Snow movie, because, like, now, like, it is popular, and it is a reboot of Friday the 13th would do well in the box office, I think.
I think it's primed and ready for
Yeah.
that to happen, because it's been long enough. There's, like, Halloween is already back, and there's some hype around that. Well, Halloween's been back twice since the Friday the 13th reboot. Because there was Rob Zombie's films, which came out, the first one around the same time. But I think Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie came out in, like, 2012, 2010.
Yeah.
So that was well after the Friday the 13th reboot. Mm-hmm. But now that it's back again with Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're taking, like, a different approach where it's just continuing the series, like, from the old movies, like, same Michael Myers, I feel like I want them to do that same thing with Friday the 13th, where instead of, like, having to reboot it and tell this origin story all over again, because most people, like, get it at this point.
Yeah.
You don't have to, like, handhold them, the audience, in that way. You could just start with Jason just doing Jason shit.
Yeah.
And it would just be a new iteration on the character, kind of like how Goes to Hell and Jason X just kind of just start, and Jason Takes Manhattan too. Right, kind of. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's only, I feel like within the 13th franchise, like, there's always room for someone to say the lore, but I would say in the three latest that we've seen, it's usually, like, a sentence or two, versus in the earlier movies, and even in the reboot, which we watched, like, a few months ago, there's, like, a whole campfire scene where they talk about it. We also, like, very blatantly see scenes from the previous movie cut and shit.
Yeah, and
like
I do
that,
like those campfire scenes and explaining the lore, because it kind of fits into the lore nicely in that it's like a campfire tale in origin. It's like how these stories get started, and it's kind of like writing the mythology of the, like, campfire story, where it's like there's this guy in the woods who kills people who do bad things or whatever, and it's like telling you all of this crazy backstory to this mythological, you know, mythical character who's, like, in folklore.
Yeah. But,
there's an element of, like, folklore to just the Friday the 13th campfire setting.
Totally. I think that, I don't know, but I will say that type of storytelling, I'm not sure fits into the, like, into a 2021 Friday the 13th reboot in a 2021 style, like, reboot fashion. I feel like it would just be like, we see Jason, I don't know, like, starting out, like, some sort of, like, artsy shot of Jason, like, fucking, like, in the woods hunting, or I don't fucking know, but
I know they're gonna make another one eventually. It might not be for a couple years or whatever, but I think it's gonna happen, and I'm just gonna be so excited to go see that, just because we're so invested in this franchise at this point, that, like, and we know so much about it, that it will be interesting to see what they do come up with, because there's so many different things. Like, I could come up with, like, 5 good ideas right now for just what would be cool to see in a Friday the 13th.
Yeah. And honestly, I would love to just see, like, fucking Tom McLaughlin just do the next fucking movie, like, the next feature that goes in theaters, but I definitely don't think that the studio would let that happen. I feel like they're like, if we're gonna fucking make a Friday the 13th film, it's gonna be a moneymaker, period. We're not gonna get weird with that. But I am looking forward to, if this short gets produced, like, seeing that. But I don't think we're gonna get Jason and Snow feature length. But
I do feel like maybe studios are starting to come around on like more adventurous ideas, just because Marvel has kind of like started to, with their like cinematic universe,
Yeah.
kind of go out there with like some of their franchises, you know, where
Yeah.
Ragnarok or whatever is kind of like zany and it's kind of like a comedy.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, certain movies take on different tones that seem a little bit like from left field.
That's
So I could
true, but
I
you,
could see
yeah.
them with like Friday the 13th maybe like trying to bring in like an element of humor or camp, maybe like.
But Craig, like, we talk about this a lot, like the style of filmmaking, of horror filmmaking in our time currently, like,
so dark.
it's so dark.
So gritty.
People want to make the dark, gritty scary. They don't want to make the, like, kind of meta, like, funny, like, I don't know. Like, it's just a different... I mean, there are, like, zany horror movies, don't fucking get me wrong, and there are movies that are, like, kind of, like, in that 80s style that we love
it's
so much.
Weird
but
because it doesn't seem like a new iteration on it. It
Yeah.
seems like a throwback, or it's like constantly referential instead of just being like I think there's a lot to be said for subtlety when it comes to like injecting your horror movie with comedy. It's like
Yeah.
a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think in the 80s it was easier to do. Well, at least for a modern day audience looking back at the 80s, it's easier to accept that on its like aesthetic merits alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like we can look back and like look at the outfits and the songs and like certain choices that are no longer relevant and laugh at them. But when they were relevant at the time, I guess it comes off as just like, I don't know what the word would be,
Yeah.
blasé or something. Like it's just
Yeah.
normal and therefore generic and lame. And I feel like we kind of get that, and maybe if in 10 years we revisit some of the movies we shit on so much, we'll appreciate them
maybe,
in a different way.
Maybe.
Maybe that's me speaking, but yeah, I get less excited about like the dark and gritty movies because I just feel like they're all like that now. Though there can
Yeah.
be good ones, like
Yeah.
Hereditary. I think it was a really fucking good movie. And it's very dark and serious
Yeah.
and grim and like almost no levity.
Yeah.
The levity
fucking
comes
love that
from
movie.
like
Mm.
a few scenes with like this teenager partying.
Yeah.
That's like about it.
Basically. Okay.
And that was a long rant for
Yeah.
me.
That was good though.
But I just hope that with like whatever comes next for the Friday the 13th franchise that they're not completely closed off to doing something a little different. Like it maybe I'm wrong, but just the fact that there's movies like Detective Pikachu
Yeah.
or like shit like
Yeah, that's
that
true.
coming out where I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is that? Like this seems like
Just
a big
so
budget movie
random.
that's like
Yeah.
really weird that they would choose to do that, or
Yeah.
like maybe Mortal Kombat would be an example, but
Yeah, Mortal Kombat honestly felt like a huge cash grab.
true.
But yeah, I don't know.
I just hope they like do something cool and not just
Yeah.
like play it by the books.
Yeah.
Make a dark and gritty
Yeah.
modern update on the first Friday the
Yeah.
third Friday the 13th. Or whatever.
Honestly, it would be kind of cool to see the first Friday the 13th where it's just Pamela and they just like never
That
fucking
would be
like
gnarly.
that would honestly be kind of fucking cool. I would definitely be down for that.
I feel like that's something Rob Zombie would do if he remade.
Yeah, dude.
Like
and-
I feel like Rob Zombie, because with the first Halloween, it's like a whole origin story for Michael Myers as like a child and shit. When he rebooted it, I could see him like wanting to go back and tell this whole origin story, like
Yeah.
show scenes with Pamela and Elias Voorhees,
Yeah.
and then Jason as a child, and then his death, and then her killing people, and then it ends with like however Jason survives and starts killing,
Yeah.
and then there's a Friday the 13th 2, and it's
Yeah. Also,
keeps going.
Yeah, and I will say
That would be
like,
cool.
That would be really cool. And honestly, when you mention Rob Zombie, like Rob Zombie is really good at making women scary. Like the women villains, like I'm just thinking of fucking House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, and like the female characters in that are like really terrifying and sinister. So I would like to see him directing like a Pamela Voorhees. That'd be cool.
Totally.
All right, Rob, you know what to do.
I feel like most people would think that that's like a pretty bad idea.
I don't know, but I think it's a good idea. And you know what? It's my fucking podcast, so fuck you.
He has a style and he has good ideas.
Yeah,
so.
plus, and House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects as well, in a way, are both like scary and gritty, but also have the sort of whimsical comedy that we both like.
Yeah.
So
I think he's a horror fan.
yeah. So yeah, Rob Zombie for remaking Friday the 13th, the first one. Pamela Voorhees is the main villain, but we can also have a little Jason sprinkled in there as well. Let's go back to Jason X and let's go ahead and give our rating. So what do you want to do the rating as? We could do a bunch of things. We could do
Should we do it out of 10 million Nano Ants?
Oh, that would be good. I was either gonna say the Nano Ants or the fucking KM's like guns. But I do like the Nano Ants. 10 million. Let's do that.
So out of 10 million Nano Ants, I'm going to give this like... How about 6,752,821?
Fair. What are your reasons?
Out of 10 million Nano Ants.
And what would that like heal? What would the...
So if... I think if like you got your entire right leg blown off and like maybe your one pinky finger, I think it would heal like all of that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have reasonings why?
So I definitely liked it a lot. I like even part 7. We talk about this every episode, but even part 7 I still like. Haley doesn't really like that one.
Yeah.
I think in general Haley is a little bit tougher on some of the movies, whereas I kind of just like them all that I've seen, and some of them I really fucking like. So the worst Friday the 13th movie for me is probably still like a 6.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, this movie is like on the lower end just in terms of my enjoyment. Like, while I will say that Uber Jason's character design when he becomes Uber Jason is like fun and campy and cool, I think I much prefer like other designs of the character, and I prefer like either the part 7 like really fucked up version or like the old school hockey mask version.
Yeah.
So it's not my favorite Jason. I think it's harder to like get to know the teens in this one. Like they're not given as much backstory or like development, and they're just kind of more generic in terms of what characteristics they do have. Whereas like some of the older movies, they like ham up the different characters like particular traits so much to where it's like that's the goofball, that's the stoner, this is like the nerdy girl who wants to be popular. Like it's like so much easier to get to know those characters when they give a little bit of like a simpler, like more identifiable traits to them. Yeah. And in this one, they're all just kind of like space people saying space shit.
Yeah.
And they're not
basically
like, they don't have like personalities except one's like nerdy
Yeah.
and has a robot.
Yeah, basically. That's very true.
The kills, it has one amazing kill, which is no secret. It's the fucking first, like, kill in the future in the spaceship. It's the head in the cryo tank and then crushed on the counter. Is so good. But aside from that, there's like a few more notable kills, like maybe 3. And for it to have the most in the franchise up until this point, I feel like to only have one really good one and then like a couple other okay ones is like kind of bad.
I feel like it's
25 kills.
it's quantity, not quality.
Totally. Like, I would take most of the kills from the first movie or like the second movie over like the more boring ones in this one.
I feel that. Alright.
But I do like the movie a lot. It's got a lot of heart. It's very fan servicey. It's very campy and fun, and it's like very self-aware that it's the 10th movie in the franchise. Like, all of the people who worked on this movie that we watched be interviewed in the commentary, they just kept saying, like, yeah, we knew we were making like a silly, campy, one-off movie. We weren't like when it's funny, it's supposed to be funny and it's supposed to be campy. I feel like some people are really harsh on this movie because they think it's bad and it doesn't know it. But I think this movie knows that it's a campy, dumb, bad movie. And I think it like wallows in that.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I don't know. I think it was like a misreading on the audience part at the time. That was partially why it was like so poorly received.
It was before its time.
I think so. Like, I think time has been good to this movie and that now people can watch it just on a purely for fun.
Yeah.
And, like, appreciation. Like, let's just watch this interesting, weird, odd, fun movie. Instead of it being like, well, I don't like the way they did this with Jason and it doesn't connect with this. And it's like a good movie. It's a good installment in the franchise.
I agree. So my rating would be, it was 10,000 nanobots? 10 million nanobots.
10 million.
Okay, so I would give this probably
Nano Ants.
Nano Ants. I would give this like maybe like you said such a specific one. I'll give this like, okay, I'm gonna give this 6,900,000 nanobots.
Almost a 7 million.
Almost a 7 million, and also
ants.
a play on 69.
So you could have done 6,700,420.
Whoa.
0.666.
Or I could have done. Anyways, my reasonings basically agree with everything that Craig said. Like, this movie's really fun, fan servicey. Like, them bringing Uber Jason to Crystal Lake. That's like, I feel like if that scene wasn't there, well, it would still be like really fun and amazing. But like, that was like the fucking chef's kiss moment.
That was a highlight.
That was a highlight for sure. And, you know, docking points, like, this, love Kane, big respect for Kane, Hodder, love this man, but Jason's design, for some reason, just fell flat to me, and it literally felt like Kane Hodder with, like, the bare minimum makeup on. I could tell it was Kane Hodder. Bless you. Which is fine, but, like, I'm just saying, like, in terms of Jason, like, we have officially reached, like, I would take Baghead Jason over the design of Jason in the first part. And Uber Jason was cool, but honestly,
I like Uber Jason a lot. Like, at this point, I'm thinking it would be cool to have, like, a Spider-Verse type movie where Jason just meets all of his different iterations.
Be cool.
Because he's
that.
literally different in every single movie.
Yeah.
Even if it's just slightly, he's different in every movie.
That's so true.
Every single movie, his prosthetics or his mask or, like, the clothes he's wearing is different.
That would be a cool concept. But
They
yeah,
kind of
so,
do that in the game. Like, you can just choose which
the type.
Jason you want to be. So you're just like, I'm Uber Jason killing people in
Yeah.
Crystal Lake.
God, I really want to play the fucking game. Okay, so going back to my rating, characters not super strong. One of them like literally pissed me the fuck off. That was like the dumbest bitch move in any of the fucking like franchise history. Fucking driving
Instant
that
karma.
spaceship. It was so bad. But I liked Rowan. I liked the nerdy guy. KM like was kind of cringy, but in a funny way. Like some of her facial expressions, I was like, this is like so weird. But like I did like this, like I liked this indestructible cyborg facing off against Jason. That was pretty cool. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Good movie. I do recommend it. It's fun. It's a fun one.
I definitely recommend it to a certain type of, like, movie fan. Like, if
Yeah.
you're like us, you go to movies for all kinds of different reasons. Like, we watch so many movies. Sometimes we watch, like, Jason X, or sometimes we watch some, like, high art, like, foreign film from the 60s.
Yeah.
Like,
We're wild and crazy.
I feel like, honestly, though, I feel like
No, yeah.
certain people would watch this and they'd be like, that's utter garbage. I'm angry the whole time I'm watching this. Like, I'm not paying attention. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people would say that this is trash, but we find something
We find something
redeemable
in
about it.
anything.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate movies like this more, where they, like, try lots of different things and, like, they just try new shit. And it's easier to forgive these horror movies because they are so low budget and, like, it's like a passion project almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's easier to forgive them for their mistakes, but yeah, it's just like this movie wears its heart on its sleeve. It's like they genuinely wanted to make, like, a good Jason movie.
Yeah.
And
Unpredictable and different.
yeah, and I think they did it, and they all said that they're self-aware enough to know that, like, they're not in it to make, like, some Oscar-winning
Yeah.
movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But they worked hard on it, guys. Please watch the movie. So.
Sometimes I feel like the rating, hopefully you guys know that our ratings are basically bullshit.
Yeah, they are.
Because they're all different
Numbers. And
parameters
shit.
of
Yeah.
there's no scale.
Yeah, because, like.
We just come up with it on the spot,
Yeah.
and usually we like all of these movies, or
Yeah.
like at least find them watchable.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, a movie that I just like would give like a 0 is something that I watch and it's just so forgettable and like boring that
Yeah.
there's no reason to even think of it again.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
none
like,
of the movies that we
But
pick
none of these are like that.
like that. And also, like, Craig and I, like, love fucking movies and love to talk about them and think about them critically, etc., etc. But at the same time, like, I'm not gonna fucking be like, yeah, like, I'm the authority. Like, listen to my rating. I'm not a fucking film critic. I'm just, like, someone that likes fucking movies. And
yeah, sometimes
so,
I'll shy away from calling, like, if I have to post on the MPGP Instagram account, I try not to use the word review because I don't want this to necessarily be considered a review,
yeah.
but more it's just like talking about a movie we like.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It's just kind of like nerdy commentary and thoughts on a movie rather than like trying to determine if it's good or not
yeah.
for the viewer. Like, you can basically assume if we're talking about it that we at least like it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Or at least it's like a part of a franchise that we like.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our podcast. In case you forgot, it's Murders per Gallon of Popcorn. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Murders per gallon of popcorn. Also, we're on Instagram, mpgp_podcast. And
Go there for all of my behind the scenes commentary.
Oh, yeah. Craig does a great job with the social media. And also, like I said earlier this episode, maybe we'll pop some merch shit soon. So, who knows? But, yeah, until then, I'm Haley.
I'm Craig.
Good night.